the first thing you do when you start playing Elite is you've got to leave the station. Usually the best thing to do before you start flying around is look for where you're going to be going. So pick a destination system from the short list of systems in the navigation map. In this case I'm going to pick LHS 3006, which is 10 light years away, and lock that into my hyperdrive as the destination that I'm going to travel to. Now obviously I've got to enter the hangar to get out of here, so leave the docking bay. Look up there, you can see the debris of someone that didn't obey the rules. One of the things to mention is that inside the dock is a no-fire zone. You shoot your gun, they shoot you. Similar response to trespassing as well. I'll mention that later. But loitering is basically a fatal offence. So using my thrusters, I boost up off the pad and up my landing gear and move out of the docking area, trying to get central to the bay so that I'm lined up for the centre of the exit. Because the whole thing's rotating, as you go out through the door you start to then feel the rotation of the station, so you can quite easily get crunched as you go out. And you've also got to watch out for all these lunatic NPC ships that are hanging around in the entrance, so a bit of thrust and I'm out. It's a lot easier in smaller ships because they aren't such a tight fit in the gap. So, what now? Well, first thing is to get out of the way of the space station. You can see the little blue indicator on the bottom right there that I'm mass locked, which means I can't engage my hyperdrive because I'm too close to an object of significant mass. So, a bit of engine boost pushes me away at speed. So you can see from the throttle there, I'm up 221, yeah, it's dropping back now. Now you can set the keys and joystick functions here. I'm using a Logitech Wingman, so I've got things like the thrusters on my joystick hat, but it's really down to preference. There's also the option to set a completely different set of keys for when you've got your landing gear down, so you've got a different set of keys for landing, which can help, especially if you're keyboard only. So once you've cleared the mass lock, you turn and face where you want to go and engage your hyperdrive for frame shift. This builds up a charge and you're ready to go. Now you have to be travelling at speed for it to engage, but if you just tap your engine boost, the thrust is enough to trigger the hyperdrive jump. And off you go. Obviously hyperspace trips are quite short because you're travelling at enormous speed and you drop out the next system. Usually pointed straight at the star, so number one thing is to turn your nose out of the way of the celestial object you're pointing at, otherwise you'll just hit it. Now, when you've got where you want to go, you need to navigate, and sometimes the list of stars in your navigation list and the local don't include where you want to go, so you need to call up the galaxy map. This shows you all the stars in the range of your hyperdrive and your current position, highlighted there with the blue pin. Then you can move using the mouse, shift the galaxy map around, have a good old look at where all the stars are. The slider there shows you, limits the routes that are available depending on how much tonnage is in your cargo. Have a look around. I'm actually looking for a star system LHS 3262, which I've spotted there. Not always easy to spot. Once I've selected it with the mouse, you'll see that it becomes the destination that I'm going to travel to. Now I could have just typed in here in the search LHS 3262 and it would have then highlighted that system, but it wouldn't select it as a destination. I have to click on it to do that.
Drive charging.
So once I've got my destination, I'll engage my hyperspace again. So jumping off to LHS 3262 now. Obviously I'm still in Super Cruise, so I'm travelling 5 light speeds. And we're off. So what is supercruise? Supercruise is kind of a hybrid of normal space travel and hyperspace. You basically travel fractions of of light speed up to full light speed. When you're in supercruise, you've got to watch out because you can hit things like a sun if you're not careful. So you get proximity alerts which will warn you that you are too near the gravitational well of a massive object like a sun or a planet, and the system will cut out so that you don't burn up or crash or explode. Problem now, of course, is that now I've dropped out of supercruise, I can't re-engage it again because there's my destination and I can't go. Frameshift is cancelled, safety cooldown in process, so I've just got to run along at normal speeds until my engine has cooled down sufficiently, and you'll see in the info window up the top eventually it'll say frameshift. Okay, there we go, it's back online. So I can now engage my jump drive and switch back into supercruise, and off I go. But I can't do it here because I'm still at close proximity to the star, so I've got to point myself away from the star first before it'll let me jump. Once I've done that, back in supercruise, my speed then whips up to light speed, or a fraction of it, and I'm able to put some distance between me and the star so that I can then work around its gravitational well back into the direction of where I want to go. Now, as you thunder along here into the gravitational well of that planet, you can kind of hear it rumbling like thunder in the background. Approaching the Lewis de la Salle prospect, which is my destination. On the left hand side you can see you've got two blue lines on your distance and speed indicator. These indicate the ideals. Now, to avoid a collision, keep your throttle on the right hand side there in the blue. Once you've set it in the blue, it will automatically decrease as you get closer. As you can see, it's now decreased my speed to the blue speed, and as soon as I get within a kilometre it will say safety disengage ready. So I hit my jump drive key J, and that drops me out right by Lewis de la Salle prospect, usually within 20 kilometres of the station. So hit radar button G, in my case, the key mapping, tells me the orientation of the station and my distance to it, so plan my approach. To dock you need to be given permission, and if you don't want to get blown up, not be a wanted man in that system. So first of all, asking permission to dock. You can do that any time prior to entering the dock, once you're within 7.5 kilometres of the station. So just drive along, and if it gets a bit boring, hit engine boost, speed yourself up a bit. Finally, within that magic distance of 7 kilometres, I can then call up the menu and ask if I can land. When I do this, the station will assign me a landing pad, and that's the one I have to go to. You cannot go to any other, even if it's lit. So, go to the contacts, select the Lewis de la Salle prospect, request docking.
Request granted.
And they said later, proceed to landing pad 9. So I'm now going to get lined up for the dock entrance. Now initially you won't have enough money to buy a docking computer, which would help you do this, but to be perfectly honest, the speed of the docking computer is such that you'll get very impatient with it after a very short space of time, and you'll go back to not having one. So I've got myself reasonably lined up here. I'm in an Anaconda, which is one of the largest ships, so I am a bit of a tight squeeze, but I keep going. As you can see, it is very narrow in here for me. And that kind of electric fence kind of buzzing as you go through. And then I'm in. Right, slow down and see where the heck landing pad 9 is. Right down in front of me. Okay. So I'm going to drop my landing gear. And then motor forward at a slow speed. And use thrusters to lower my ship down towards the pad. As I get there, the holographic pad display lights up, which helps me guide in. Obviously you've got a stalk out the bottom of your ship in the representation, and you've got to line the bottom of that stalk up with the dead centre of the pad. But bear in mind, as you thrust downwards, depending on the angle of your ship, it may cause you to move forwards, backwards, sideways. So you may need to use forward and reverse thrust to just slightly manoeuvre yourself around until you touch down the pad.
Engines disengaged.
Oh, there. So I'm going into the hangar. And call up Starport Services so I can interact with the space station. Okay, now trading. Oh, actually, I'm going to repair my ship. First thing, obviously that damage from emergency stopping out of Super Cruise pranged my hull a bit, so I'm going to repair that first and then go to the commodities market and there have a look. And you can see you've got a list of goods with values to sell and buy, how much cargo you've got of that, what the demand is, the supply, and the galactic average price. And what you're looking for is items that you can buy that have a high local supply and low local demand, and where the price is significantly different to the galactic average. In this case I'm going for consumer technology. Basically I'm buying iPods. I'm selling iPods. So buy a few hundred ton of those in my case. That's quite a lot of money. One thing to notice, your balance, obviously whatever money you've got left, if you haven't got the Sidewinder and you've already bought a new ship, you bear in mind 10% of the ship cost is what it costs in insurance to replace. Now how did I pick the items to buy? I looked at some of these websites you can get, you'll find them on the Frontier forums. This one gives me all the consumer items between LHS and Ovid, and I can pick the best one for the best profit. So I now want to select my destination, which I've determined is going to be Ovid, which will give me the best price for iPods this time of year. So there I'm at LHS 3262. Where's Ovid? There it is, up top. So yep, that's 19.5 light years away. That's too far for my hyperdrive to get in one go, so I'm going to need to go somewhere in between. I need to navigate. Now I happen to know that Ibutis is kind of in the middle of the two, so if I jump to there I can then jump from Ibutis to Ovid. Now to find that out, again, there are travel planning websites for you. This is one I use, Changodoc, but there are others and they're all pretty good. So pick my destination Ibutis and off I go. So I didn't show undocking, we'd already covered that. So. Go on, dip that nose, avoid that star, we don't want a collision. Okay, now when you exit hyperspace you're still in Super Cruise, so you can immediately pick your destination, in which case mine's Ovid, but it's not on the map, so I'm going to have to go up to the galaxy map and select it there. Navigation, search for Ovid, there it be. So select that and I'm ready to go. So charge my hyperdrive, I can frame shift, hit hyperspace and get out of Ibutis.
4, 3, 2,
Comments.
1.
One of the things with Super Cruise is
Main fuel tank low.
you can go too fast. Obviously we've talked about proximity to objects and impacts, but if you're trying to get somewhere and you're aiming for it, like a space station or a particular place, in this case I'm heading for Bradfield Orbital, it's 900 light years away, so I put the pedal to the metal, and because I didn't decelerate before I got within a couple of hundred light seconds, I was going too fast. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that you overshoot. There's Bradfield Orbital. Whoops! There it goes. I'm still going at 3 times the speed of light, so I've now got to slow right down, bank heavily, climb, pitch, whatever, and go right around in a loop back to Bradfield Orbital, and then this time set my throttle into the auto blue so that I don't overspeed. And this time I'll get there in without flying off. As you can see, the auto throttle is slowly bringing my speed down, so that by the time I get there I'm into the blue. Okay, now I finished at Bradford Orbital and sold my iPods and made lots of money, which is why I'm filthy rich and got a big ship. So now I'm going to go off to Erenin, which is a good place to pick a fight.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go to I was buying guns there, big guns for my ship, so got some big guns. After Erenin. So, when I arrive at the system, Erenin, obviously you've got, I think Azerbaijan City is the actual station. Yeah. Erenin 2 is a war zone, so that's where all the battle action is occurring. So I'm going to make my way to Erenin 2, Iranin. As I get closer, you can see I'm entering the war zone, and there's pointers for a federal distress signal, a conflict zone of high intensity, so on. So pick one to go to. So I've targeted using the T key while I've got my nose pointed at it. A conflict zone of high intensity. Set my throttle to auto so that I slow down for the right spot, and then approach the conflict zone. Super Cruise. Okay, here I am. And there's nothing on radar. But I'll deploy my hard points anyway. Now, in retrospect, I think I bought too many energy weapons. So my ship is going to run very hot. Now, these people popped out of hyperspace. Are they my friends and my enemies? Well, I've got to choose. You've got to pick a side, pick a faction. Am I going to be in the Federation, or am I going to be with the local Iranian rebels? So I've picked Iranian. There's a big old anaconda there, same ship as me, so I'm going to give him a good old blast with my plasma accelerator and rail gun. And before you know it, they've overheated. Damn. Left is a pea shooter, but it is exciting. Shields are almost down. Come on, come on! Get his shields down. Get his shields down. Ah, yes, his shields are down. Now they're doing some serious damage to his hull. Because these guys are fighting for their country or star system or federation, whichever one it happens to be, they're not going to run away like pirates. So at least you get a standard fight. bear in mind when you're playing this online, you also get other human players that are indicated on the heads-up display
Under attack.
with a square, hollow square, rectangle even,
Heat sink
to indicate that they are not
Target
AI, but
destroyed.
in fact human players. Didn't get any credits for that destruction, did I? Oh, well, on to the next one. Keep fighting. Now you'll see on the radar there that you've got a mixture of green and red points. The stalk indicates their position above or below you, depending on whether the blob is at the top or the bottom of the stalk, and the colour indicates whether they're hostile or friendly. Obviously yellow is, don't know. So we're going to head towards the next hostile. Targeted another anaconda, but he's 4 kilometres away, so there's not really a lot of damage I'm going to do to him. I can barely see him at this distance. Targeting computer's giving me little yellow targets to shoot at. In fact, my gimbal multi-cannons have already locked onto that, so I could start firing and hope I get a lucky hit. I need to be a bit closer. Shields are recharging, almost recharged.
Target shields
Yep, his
online.
shields have recharged. So I get close to him, then not going to last very long. Trying to shoot out the friendlies. Does make you very unpopular if you do that.
Target shields offline.
Come on, shields are down. Take some damage. 30%, let's just finish him off, can we? 29, 27, 25. Come on, 19. Yes, yes, yes. Destroy him. 13%. Come on. I've got a gun that isn't overheating. Go on, fire. I will get those measly 350 credits. Yay!
Target destroyed.
Now I have to say, I don't think the bomb's really a lot. I'd probably spend more money on the bullets.